Okay, and welcome to another SharePoint devwiki.com webcast. In this webcast, I'm just going to briefly show you guys how to leverage an enterprise wiki in SharePoint 2010, but also how to add some quick customizations to it to really enhance the facilities that are there out of the box with a noteboard web part. So as you can see, this is a standard SharePoint 2010 enterprise wiki with one small modification which you might not spot straight away, which I'm going to walk through now for you. So with an enterprise wiki, much like other wikis out there, there's various things you can do to a page. You can rate the page, which is to do with the new social side of wikis that are in SharePoint 2010. You can mark that you like that, which essentially adds a tag to that page under your user profile when you're logged in. And if you go into tags and notes, you can actually come in here and add your own tags. So this may be relevant to social media, so I'm going to tag it as that and click save, and you can see that where I've clicked the I like it, it's already added that tag for me as well. And what you'll notice down here, it says recent activities, it'll say Joel Ellison tagged I like it. If I close that and go in as a different user, and the way I'm doing this is just by switching to a different browser, you see if I'm in as Mark Miller and I click on tags and notes, you'll actually see that Joel Ellison's tagged that as I like it, and the administrator of the website is also tagged that as social media. So it's very powerful to allow you to see what tags are available for this page, and also then to jump here and actually click on that keyword and see the profile for that keyword. So the indexing here does take a little while, and I think by default it runs every hour, and you can change that if you like that to be more instant. So obviously you can see here that this hasn't, since me adding that brand new tag, given us any of the extra pages that have just been tagged with that amount. But you can imagine the power of that if you did have that context. The other nice thing about the tags and notes is the noteboard. Now the noteboard allows me to essentially add notes, and think about this more of something like the Facebook wall within Facebook. So I can say something like great content and looking forward to this page maturing as it develops it. If I click post, so you'll see there as Mark Miller I've put in there, and that's added that post, and I can close that now. If I now go back to my other user as the administrator, you'll see that now if I go into tags and notes and into noteboard, that I also get that in there, so I can see that that's the activity that's happened on this page. Now most websites you don't need to go into tags and notes and noteboard to get to this thing. So what I've actually done, if you notice down the bottom, is I've actually created a noteboard web part on here. Now what that allows me to do is, as a user, say for instance as Joel Ellison, if I come in here and go refresh on here, I will see Mark Miller's post, but I might comment on Mark's comment as well. And you'll see now that I get that. And then if I go in as my administrator and refresh, I should see both those comments. Now if I navigate it back around now, if I go to another wiki page, and then if I go back, what you notice is that those are stored. But I've noticed before in the past that if I come into a page such as this one, and if I've changed the name of the post, or changed the name of the wiki page, it doesn't store those details because there were actual comments on this page. And the way I can prove that is if I go back into my profile, and you'll be able to see in tags and notes all of the notes and activities you've done. So you can see here that I've tagged the home wiki page, which I get the link with social media, but I've also, as you can see here, posted a note on the my first wiki page, but you remember that didn't actually show up. And if I go to my other users, you can't actually see that comment that I've made. But if I click on it from here, you'll notice that I get them all. But you'll also notice that I don't get the same comments I made without the query string. So what you're seeing here is some query string magic in terms of how it's displaying what to render. So if I go back and remove that, I now lose those comments. So just bear that in mind at the minute, and it could be a beta 2 issue, and I will make it aware to Kevin, who's kind of holding up on this side of the SharePoint 2010 product platform. But I think that's very powerful. So how did I do this? So because these wiki pages are in a page library, pages library, as you can see here, I can actually jump to that. So if I go view all site content and pages, and then if I have a look, you can see that I'm using a basic page layout. And if I click in here, you'll notice that I'm using the enterprisewiki.aspx. So the best way to edit this page layout is to go into SharePoint Designer, which I've already got open for this particular site. And if I go into the page layouts and into the Enterprise Wiki space and click on that, and then go edit file, and I'll need to check this out. I'm actually logged in as myself there, so I'm not quite sure. So this page does not contain any regions, so that's fine. I want to edit this page in advanced mode, and I've got my view in split. And what you'll see here is that I've added a new web part called the social comment web part here, and it's given me a few default properties. Now the way I've added that is by clicking inside my design space here and just using my arrow keys to get a selected area within this placeholder, clicking on insert, and then inside the web parts selecting on the noteboard. And when I do that, it'll simply add that noteboard there. Now one thing I would bear in mind is that on the web page you get these previous and next buttons, which I can demonstrate if I go into the home and go into noteboard. You'll see I get them there, and I'm getting lots of I'm only getting 2 comments in here, so I'll show you a page where there's more than 2 comments. Okay, so it's completely forgetting those comments now. So if I go into my profile, go into my first wiki page that way, now go into tags and notes. Nope. So it's not remembering the noteboard stuff correctly inside here. But effectively by default only shows 3, so those 2 you'd had to have next and previous them. So what I have done inside SharePoint Designer is when you right click on web part properties, if you go down to custom properties, you can set the display count and you can put that to whatever you like. So I like the idea of being able to see all my comments on a page. So I'm just going to delete that duplicate, and then simply once you've done that, you just save the page. And what you'll have to do is, if you close that down, you'll have to come into the page layouts, and you'll see there it's checked out currently. So I'm just going to have to check that page in, and I want to publish it, and I'll say added noteboard web part, and it'll require approval, so it's going to pop me up in my browser. And it's popped up Firefox for me because it's my default browser, so I just literally need to log in as the administrator. And I'll come in here and go approve, select approve, and now all of my users will be able to see that. So if I go in as Mark, they'll see the noteboard web part there, which was already actually on the page, to be honest. So I hope that gives you a bit of an understanding of how you can customize the Enterprise Wiki to give you the comment features, very similar to how the SharePoint Dev Wiki pages will look with the Confluence program. So you'll see here that I've got comments in here. And you'll see that people are adding comments to the content of the wiki page at the bottom, and the reason they may do that is because they're maybe not confident enough to edit the content of the wiki page, but they just want to start discussing the content, and then maybe the discussions within these comments will cause someone to actually edit the content of the page. So I believe wikis really need comments by default. I think it's very important that we have something like pages and categories as well. And so hopefully that gives you a bit of understanding, and I'll be doing more around this in the future, and how to extend the SharePoint Enterprise Wiki. Okay, thanks very much for taking the time to view this webcast. Please bear in mind that you can subscribe to an iTunes or an RSS feed to be able to pick these things up more frequently. I encourage you to check back on the SharePoint Dev Wiki because I will be doing a lot more of these in the future.